There's number of various factors involving polishing, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing it by hand or with the machine. You need to put all of them in place. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Outstaying channel. A lot of people ask me, can you improve the look of the paint or correct the paint by hand? Some people don't want to buy polisher because they only want to do it once, so for them it makes no sense to invest in the polisher. They have lots of time, so for those people the hand polishing might be some sort of solution. So overall this video will be about hand polishing. However, you're gonna get a little bonus. You will get chance to win dual action polisher. The details of this giveaway will be at the end of the video. Should you afraid to use polisher on the paintwork of your car? The answer is yes and no. The reason of that is if you have no idea what you're going to do with that, then you're better off to don't use it. However, if you want to spend some time on research how to do it, then there should be no really big issue, and once you approach it somehow with common sense, then you shouldn't make any damage on the paint. But let's move forward with hand polishing. Before you start to do anything in terms of polishing, whether it's hand polishing or machine, you should definitely prep the paintwork. So what you need to do in this process is you need to clean the exterior of the car, remove the road film and the heavy dirt. Then of course you need to detar the car, remove fallout, and at the end you should clay bar the car. If you have never done this process before, check my YouTube channel. There's a video that explains in detail how to perform the contamination process. So when you have the paintwork prepped for polishing, it's perfectly clean, then let's move to the polishing side. What you need for the process of polishing. So first of all, you need some compound. In this case, I have two compounds, heavy coating and medium coat. Also what I have here is I have two polishing pads. They're the same as for machine polishing, but you can also use them by hand. First one is also heavy coat pad, second one is medium. What you also need is Kupla microfiber cloths. Panel wipe is another product that you need for polishing to control the result that you're achieving. And the last thing that you definitely need is inspection torch. In this case, you have professional one. However, you can also use any sort of head torch or some sort of handheld torch that creates focused LED light. With the torch and the panel wipe, you will be able to trace the difference that you're achieving while you're polishing the paint. Why I picked hard and medium combination for my polishing in terms of compounds and pads, the reason of that is that even though I have, for example, heavy coating pad and compound, that doesn't mean that this is going to remove a lot of paint very quick. The compound and pad are dedicated for polishing machines. So of course when you polish it with machine, there is a lot more aggressivity, there is a lot more going on. So you're gonna have a lot more motion, you're gonna have more speed, etc. Unless you wanted to polish by hand old Japanese car with extremely soft paint, or if you know that your car has extremely soft paint, then instead of heavy coat and medium coat compounds and pads, what I would get is I would get finishing and medium compounds and pads. So first of all, let's start from the polishing itself, what it is. Basically, if you're talking about improving the paint or doing paint correction, what you need to think about is you need to think about the paint itself. So in this case, there is level of swirl marks on this paint. Our goal is to remove them. But if you look at the paint on this diagram, then you should have really good idea. So when it comes to scratches, they're not on top of the paint, but scratches or any sort of imperfections like holograms or deep scratches, swirl marks, they are imperfections in the paint. So basically, if you want to fix the paint or improve it, what you need to do, you need to remove tiny layer of that paint. Of course, when it comes to waxing the car or applying some sort of typical polishes on the paint, in those cases you will not remove the paint. What you do in those cases when using those products is you just fill the imperfections. But in this video we're not talking about filling imperfections, but the goal will be to improve the paint. So in this case I will show you how to remove that tiny layer of damaged paint. So now you understand the paint and you understand that we want to remove tiny layer of the paint. So what is the biggest factor when it comes to removing any sort of surface? No, it's not compound and pad, is the friction that you're gonna create with your tools. So what do we need to create friction on the surface? Basically, we need three things. So first one is the motion, and in this case, I'm just gonna use my hand. Second factor of creating friction is abrasion. So what we have for that? We have compound and we have pad. Also, when it comes to polishing, regardless whether you're gonna do by hand or with machine, what you need is lubrication. These days, all modern compounds, they have a lot of lubrication, so you don't need to add water or you don't need to add anything from that perspective. What can you expect from compounds and pads? So basically, as you're probably aware, there are different compounds and pads available. You have different gradations of them. In this case, we have heavy coat and medium coat. So what we can expect from them is heavy coating compound has more abrasivity. So by using this compound combined with heavy coat pad, what that means is I will remove the paint quicker. However, in terms of finish, sometimes it happens that the finish isn't the best from that compounded pad. So that's why you have a selection of two, at least in this case, we have chance to remove imperfections quicker with the heavy coat compound and then try to refine any sort of traces of polishing with the second step. When it comes to the motion, in this case, I'm just going to use my hand for it. However, if you use even smallest polisher available on the market, which is 9mm dual action machine, you would increase the performance at least 20 to 30 times. So if you can imagine now, some people try to do polishing by hand, but they don't want to spend much time doing it, and then they don't really see results, and lots of people say it's impossible to do good improvement on the paint by hand. Right, so we have the tools here. Is that all we need to perform polishing? If you think about, if you want to drive a car, obviously you need a car, but the fact that you have a car doesn't mean that you're gonna do it 100% correct, that you will be the best driver. So to achieve visible results by hand, you need to put couple other factors in place. Basically what you need to do, you need to create appropriate friction with your tools. So first of all, we need to think about the area that we're gonna polish. In this case, I'm just going to go on a small sort of area, foot by foot. And in the case of area, if you think about, does it make difference if you choose bigger or smaller? Absolutely. The smaller area you're gonna do at the time, especially by hand, you will achieve sort of better results, quicker progress. If you increase the area to bigger one, the progress will be slower. Another very important factor when you're doing the polishing is how fast you're gonna work. So if you will work slowly with the pad, then your progress will be very slow. If you work fast, of course, within the same time, you will achieve more paint removal, more results. And the last very important factor when it comes to polishing, regardless whether it's by hand or with the machine, is the pressure that you apply. In the case of hand, you just apply on the pad. So if you apply some level of pressure on the pad and you work with it, then the progress will be quicker. If you don't apply any pressure, you just go over the paint, then you might see very little progress or no improvement at all. What you should also consider when you're doing this sort of job, time that you're gonna spend on this area when you're polishing it. So if I spend 15-20 seconds trying to polish this area, I shouldn't be expecting any sort of decent results. But if I take time and spend, let's say, 1.5 minutes on this area, then I will see the results very quick. So as you can see, there is a number of various factors involving polishing, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing it by hand or with the machine, you need to put all of them in place. Another two things you need to consider when you're doing polishing, regardless whether it's by hand or machine, you need to consider hardness of the paint. Different cars have different hardness. Most of German cars are sort of known for harder paint. When it comes to Japanese cars, they have softer paint. So obviously what that means is for harder paint, you need to put more work than for softer paint. And the last thing that varies with every single car is also level of the damage. So if you have deeper imperfections, you need to work on that paint a lot more, a lot harder. If you have only minor imperfections, in some cases, a little bit of work can give you really nice results. If you're missing some of them factors, or you don't put considerations in the hardness of the paint or level of the damage, the work that you put in there might not give you results, or the finish might be very poor. So let's give it a go. I will start with heavy cut combination. When it comes to amount of compound, all you need is sort of 4 or 5 pea-sized drops on your pad, and then you can start to work with it. After a bit of time spent polishing the surface, wipe off the compound with one cloth, then spray the panel wipe on the surface and wipe it off again, so you'll be able to check the real results that you achieved. So in this case, what we can see is we actually removed a lot of imperfections, a lot of swirl marks. However, there's still level of deeper scratches on the paint. Also, the finish isn't the best. There's kind of some sort of traces of our polishing, some sort of hologram, so it doesn't look good from that perspective. But our goal is to try to improve it a lot, so I'm gonna go again with heavy cut compound and just gonna work on the place where we have deeper scratches. After 3 good going overs with heavy cut compound and heavy cut pad, I can see that I made significant improvement even to those deep scratches. There is still some left, but in this case I'm not going to carry on anymore. I know that if I spend more time to try to remove these last scratches, I could do that, but I don't want to make this video half an hour long, because this could take another 3 to 4 even attempts with the heavy cut pad. So now let's move to the second stage. So I will use medium compound and medium pad, and I will try to refine the imperfections that I created from the fourth step. So let's have a look at the result after the second step. As you can see, there is huge improvement before and after of this paint. All this work was done by hand. It's not perfect, but the improvement is quite satisfying. Also, when it comes to polishing itself, I did it kind of a little bit differently in both cases. So for heavy cut combination, I was working as fast as I could. I applied good bit of pressure, so this way I was getting progress there. However, in the second stage, I didn't work as aggressively, so that's why I could achieve that a lot nicer finish. So as you can see here, it's possible to polish the paint by hand and achieve the result. It's very time-consuming work, very hard work. I couldn't really justify doing this sort of work for the fact that for not too big money you can actually get setup of polisher compounds pads, and this would sort of make your job a way more efficient than doing it by hand. But if you just wanted to get some light improvement on your paint, you could get medium pad, medium compound, work with it, and it won't remove heavy swirl marks, might not remove too much of swirl marks, but it will remove oxidization, and that will restore the gloss of your paint. To recap the video, as you can see, it can be done by hand. However, in this case, what we have bonnet from Toyota. The paint isn't extremely hard. If this was, for example, old BMW paint, we probably would need to spend 3 or 4 times longer to achieve this sort of finish on this surface. So it's a sort of job that if someone has too much time on hands, doesn't want to spend money for basic startup polishing kit, well then, okay, you can try to do it, but in most cases I imagine it will be very hard to work on whole car, because to achieve this sort of level of correction on, let's say, harder paint, you could be spending 2, 3, 4 days and still the result might not be fully satisfying. However, you can make the polishing process so much simpler, so much more enjoyable and more satisfying if you just get small dual action polisher. This way you will speed up the process. First of all, you will have constant speed, you will be able to play a little bit more with the pressure. Overall, you will be able to cut down, let's say, 80-90% of hand polishing work. So as I promised at the start of the video, I'm going to do competition. To take part in the competition, all you need to do is subscribe my channel if you haven't done that yet, like the video and comment below. The comment that will get the biggest number of likes will win the polisher. All the details and the deadline of this competition is in the description. So that's everything in this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions regarding to car detailing, leather restoration, leather care, comment below. I'll answer your question as best as I can. If you haven't subscribed my channel yet, make sure you do so you won't miss another videos that I'm gonna publish in the next while. And see you on the next one.